I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education for the School District of Baraboo to order for Monday, August the 13th, 2012 with a roll call. Cummings?
Here.
McNevin?
Here.
Meering?
Here.
Mortimer?
Here.
Riley?
Here.
Vedro?
Here.
And Vodak here. Continue with the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag's behind the counter. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would entertain a motion that it be resolved the Board of Education approve the minutes of the July 23rd and July 30th, 2012 meetings as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Cummings, seconded by Meering. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Brings us to correspondence. I have some correspondence that I will interject. I have some email correspondence from Terry Dorner in regards to the board investigation and her disapproval of the process the board went through. I will introduce that for correspondence. Any other board members with correspondence? Any administrative correspondence?
Yeah, I have two pieces to note tonight. We received communication from the Department of Public Instruction that our very own Danny Scott was recommended to the State Superintendent's Education Data Advisory Committee, better known as SSEDAC. The committee is comprised of data folks from districts of all sizes, CESAs, educational agencies such as WASB and others. So we look forward to her reports back from the work that she'll be doing at the state level. The other communication is from St. Clair Healthcare Foundation here in Baraboo, and they are providing a pilot program, fitness program for our third graders, and working with our physical education teachers to implement this and roll it out in January. So it talks about the various parts of the program, including use of pedometers, weekly class themes, activities. I'll pass that around if you want to take a look at that, but I want to thank the foundation for continuing to be a partner with the school district in our efforts to keep kids fit.
Any other administrative correspondence? Hearing none, that brings us to the portion of the agenda entitled Public Viewpoints. Is there anyone here for Public Viewpoints tonight? Public Viewpoints, yes.
My name is John Megan. I'm from the town of Greenfield. I recently read a letter in the paper from a school board member suggesting that we end the summer by celebrating the positive accomplishments of math and reading improvements. So as a taxpayer, I tried to identify these improvements by comparing Baraboo's WKCE math and reading scores to the other Badger North districts, the same districts used for benchmarking administrator compensation. I found the following. Compared to the average of the other Badger North districts in the area of reading for 2011-2012, Baraboo students in grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 performed 5 to 9 percentage points lower. Only Baraboo's grade 10 exceeded the average by a mere 1.4%. In the area of math, Baraboo students had similar outcomes ranging from 3 to 14% lower for grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The exception was Baraboo's grade 10, exceeding the average by only 1.2%. I wholeheartedly agree we should focus on student academic achievement and told this board the same thing 6 years ago. The actions taken by this board and the administration since that time have not moved students forward. To the contrary, move students backward. It would be unfair to assign blame to students or teachers for this miserable performance. Neither selects the curriculum, and both do only what they are told. And we all know what happens when someone speaks up or steps out of line. It is the responsibility of this board and the administration for this dismal performance. Directly or indirectly, you are responsible for selecting and properly implementing the curriculum taught at our Baraboo schools. In his July 20th letter to the BNR mailbag, Peter Vidro, school board member, alleged that Baraboo was cheap, attempting to lead readers to believe Baraboo taxpayers weren't paying their fair share. I won't say his statement is false, because it's flat out wrong. For the 2010-11 school year, Baraboo spent $77 per pupil less on instruction than the average of the other Badger North districts. However, Baraboo spent $232 more on pupil and staff services than the other districts. So Baraboo spent $155 more per student on instruction and pupil and staff services. To say that Baraboo is cheap is an outright lie. And all of my information came from the DPI website. I would ask if any of you were ashamed for giving Badger North-like raises to administrators when our students underperform their peers in nearly every grade and then call for a celebration. I would ask if you were ashamed for not stepping up and correcting the misguided and ignorant author who suggested that Baraboo was cheap. Instead, I will ask you to present your detailed plan for improving student academic outcomes at the next board meeting.
Are you just about finished?
Yes.
Okay, please wrap it up.
Complete with quantifiable metrics for student achievement and clearly integrated with administrator compensation. We would like to see the benchmarks and be presented with evidence to support your spending of our tax dollars for the best and brightest. Show us your plan for student success. I hope to see, as part of your plan, effective strategies that actually work to increase student academic outcomes.
Any other public viewpoint? Any other public viewpoints? Any other public viewpoints? Hearing none, I'd like to move on to the agenda item entitled Reports. First up is the facility update, not to be confused with the capital project update. So for the facility update, I would like to know if the board can reserve September the 6th at 6 o'clock for a presentation by Epstein. If you check your calendar and let me know, I would appreciate it. That's the 6th, which is a Monday. Or, I'm sorry, it's a Wednesday. Is it a Wednesday? Yeah, we couldn't do Monday because of Labor Day, so
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Wednesday the 6th, okay, thank you.
I think it's actually Thursday.
It's Thursday the 6th?
It's the 6th, and we have now determined it's a Thursday. Hopefully there isn't any other dates we need to talk about throughout the meeting tonight.
I've got my
Hung up.
calendar up.
It's not a weekend.
Well, and
Thursday the 6th, 6 p.m. here.
correct.
Let me know if you have any concerns or issues with that date.
The firm that we're working with wanted to have a designated meeting for presenting their final report to the board. It's going to take a little while because obviously they went through 7 school facilities and met with various staff and looked at documents and other things. So it'll give the board an opportunity to ask questions, to think about questions moving forward, and then we'll ask them back at a later date and follow through with that. They were able to, last week, get through all of the facilities. It was kind of a whirlwind couple of days, and I want to thank the administrators for adjusting their schedules. We had a lot of professional development and hiring, and it's a crazy time of the year, but we managed to fit it all in, so that was very helpful for that process.
Okay. Brings us to the capital projects update. You received in your board packet an update as of Friday, I believe was the date that was on the update. We have Mr. Acker with us here tonight. The Building, Grounds, and Transportation Committee took a walking tour of the track facility and the project at the Jack Young Middle School. We didn't have any action at that particular meeting. We did have a meeting several days later where we discussed that. Mr. Acker, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to your update that was provided to us, or if the board has any questions in particular.
Well, that was Friday morning, and today is Monday night, so there are a couple other things, minor things. Like in my report, there were 6 walls, now there's 7 walls done. There's only 1 wall left, and things are moving right along. So there's a little bit further, even in 2 days. Really coming along nicely. Yeah, I'll entertain any questions.
This is just, were we talking about the wall or the track too?
Take your
Well,
pick.
I'm-
Either.
Okay, well, I'll pick the track. Maybe I'll go back to that. But the track at this point, obviously, we've had a bizarre summer with the weather. All of a sudden, just when we're getting to the point to lay stuff down, we get much needed rain. But how is that? Have we been able to move through that? I read some of the report, it looks like we're okay, but is it?
We're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a delay. We were concerned with all the rain that the base would have to be redone, but it did not have to be redone, and both levels or tiers of black asphalt are down. Now they have to sit for 2 weeks and cure, then the rubber track will go on, but we are on schedule. We're 95% done. Right now, the 2 things that need to be done are the asphalt, are the rubber track, the fencing, and then just the landscape.
Good.
Patrick, can you introduce the Phase 2 and what we're intending to do to try to save some cost with that transition?
Yes, I can. There's some opportunity to save some money. Aaron's not here, but he's got about $80,000 raised in funds. And what we'd like to do, instead of having Dean Bloom do his landscaping, there's an opportunity to save that money by having him use his time and materials to prepare that area for the concrete base and footings for the bleachers in Phase 2. And Aaron has the money for that. He'd like to move forward with the approval to ask Dean to do that, to have the money set aside for the concrete and the money set aside for the architects to actually develop the plan.
And just to clarify, that's $80,000 raised just for that portion of Phase 2. There are more monies raised than that $80,000.
Right.
The pad out there is for the stadium, not necessarily bleachers. And on this 80,000, there's the costs were what? The savings was the same. There's no cost difference between preparing it for concrete or preparing it for the.
That's a wash. That's correct.
Yeah, and then there's design fees and then also the concrete fees, which they already have the funds raised for. And once that gets down.
But all the equipment's there, he's
Right.
mobilized.
Right, exactly.
Versus going back in next year and rip it all back up again.
Exactly. And we're hoping that we can save a little money on concrete cost, because going into September, a lot of people are, slowing down, and there might be some savings there.
So again, those are not district funds. These are monies that have been raised for that purpose. We also have some little bit of activity going on with donations yet coming in, and we're working on a couple of larger donors potentially for the press box. So,
But we will have to have approval from the board
Yeah.
to proceed with
That-
step 2 or Phase 2.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
That being said, should I make a motion for proceed, will allow Buildings and Grounds pursue, or Aaron proceed with step 2 then, or?
whatever the board chooses, it's fundraised money.
Well, I make a motion that the board approve pouring the concrete for the slab for the bleachers, which will come in the future with donated money.
Mhm. I'll second that then.
Okay, any discussion on that? Anybody that doesn't clear as to what that means?
And Ed, that would include the design fees associated with that?
I assume so.
Yeah, that's all part of it
That
because
was
they
20,000.
design the pads and the
21,000
footings and everything in the forms and stuff.
How much did it cost for that?
That's right on, did you get one of these pamphlets
It's
here?
$21,000 for the design and about $50,000 for the gravel footings and concrete pad.
And we currently have about
87,000 actually.
So we'd have about
20 to cover.
16,000 in addition in donated money.
Yes.
Who's doing the design work?
JW Industries.
Is it?
JW Industries.
And when do the bleachers come or get
Takes
it?
$80,000.
When there's enough money.
I see, okay.
No.
Might not be for, I mean, it might be a year, it might be hopefully within 2 years, but I mean, that's all going to be dependent on the money. And at some point in the future, when we get into more discussion about phase 2, I think it would be appropriate for the whole board to look at what the concept is. I think it would be important to have Aaron here for that discussion. But the catch right now was to decide whether or not to sod that chunk of real estate or to proceed with putting the pad in. And it seems like the right thing to do to not sod it, to have to dig it up. So that's why we're talking about it tonight. But we'll certainly have Aaron come in to discuss phase 2 in the future and an update on the fundraising.
And we do have our first event scheduled elsewhere, recognizing that we need a little bit more time for that field.
So we
How
have-
many events do we have this year? I mean, is there 4 football
Well, I'm
games?
talking, I don't know. if
It's
it was-
4 home varsity football games.
And then do we have soccer games that are they gonna play on there too?
They may not be on there. They may get one. Aaron's still working out the details on that, but that really depends upon the condition of the turf and obviously weather too.
Okay.
I mean, you get a downpour the day before the first home football game, the game may not be happening there. And they've reserved an alternate site down at Middleton in order to accommodate that if that were the case. So, the grass is in good shape from what I've seen and what I've been told, but by the same token, if you go out there and tear it to shreds, then it's done, so.
Yeah, I put those cleats on.
Any further discussion?
But that field's designed to play soccer on it also.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay.
But I think that the determining factor, which is up to other powers that be, is the condition of the turf and, how much wear and tear it can sustain, and, when it's, it's only planted, maybe 8 weeks ago? So it's virgin grass.
Supposed to be grass in 12 weeks, they said.
I tried growing grass like that on my front lawn, it didn't work, so I should have had them plant my front yard.
I got something that isn't grass right now.
Any further discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor of the motion as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. I don't know, we had some additional topics that we talked about at BG&T. I don't know if we want to save those for a future meeting. We talked about the bleachers inside the gymnasium. We talked about the situation at the pool with the tiles. And there was a third one. What was the third thing? Storage shed.
Storage shed.
I mean, if we can certainly come back with that at a future date with some up-to-date numbers as to what we're looking at. Some of that involves timing. It just needs to be something that we discuss because the pool repairs and painting need to be done during the month of August, not this August, but next August, so we need to have our ducks in a row. Patrick, you might want to update the board on the status of the tile on the outlying area outside of the pool that you are going to take care of removing.
You're talking about the panels?
The acoustic tile, yeah.
They're done. They're down.
Okay, so that's just so the board knows where we're at with that.
No longer full.
Well, and in terms of bleachers, if the board decides to move forward with replacing those, they have to be ordered in February in order to be here in time for summer installment. So we will need to talk
We'll
about
come
that.
back with some further information and some firm numbers on all of those projects because there are some timing concerns, and I think it's important that the board look at what the bleachers are. We looked at a sample of the bleachers at BG&T, but I think it's important that the whole board have buy-in, and there's a considerable amount of money that would need to be expended for that and some timing that's involved, so we can come back to that at a later date. Just wanted to make sure that you knew that discussion was taking place, especially for those that are concerned about the tile at the swimming pool.
There's also safety issues on the bleachers in the gymnasium here that is bringing us to the forefront as we more rapidly.
Well, and my understanding is those bleachers are the original bleachers. So they certainly have been, you did some repairs on them this summer, some welding to try and buy us some more time. But we'll come back and talk about that at a later date. Just wanted to make sure the board knew that conversation was kick-started already. Brings us to the portion of the agenda entitled International Society for Technology and Education, a conference that was attended by Mr. Pellin. Matt, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to the ISTE conference, which is your national conference for technology and education, and there's 20,000 attendees from 62 countries, so it's an amazing way to be able to connect with people not only on a national scale but on a global scale. So my focus that I spent a lot of my effort there really attending was leadership and BYOD, which is again these big things that are going on in public school. And I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with a vast majority of different people from all over the world talking about BYOD, one-to-one initiatives.
Is BYOD bring your own device?
Bring your own device, sure.
I'm with you. Keep guys in your acronyms.
Really spending a lot of time with them, understanding the impact that BYOD would have not only instructionally, but culturally, in your culture of your school. So it was really exciting to get that perspective and kind of see where a lot of these districts that have pushed forward and put that in place were successful, and they were successful. So big majority, leadership, BYOD, and some other miscellaneous areas. I got to spend a little time with someone from some sessions on redesigning your library space to really meet the needs of our 21st century learners. So that was a big portion of what I attended also. But overall, the BYOD really brought me to a lot of questions that I really want to take back to our 21st Century Strategic Planning Committee as we move forward with these kinds of initiatives. And I came back with a lot of questions that I want to have discussion with, a lot of data, but a lot of questions also that I want to share with that committee and have some rich discussions around. And some of those questions were like, what will BYOD look for us, or just a vast scale of what BYOD, bring your own device, looks like in your specific area, depending on a lot of different factors, whether low socioeconomic certainly plays a factor in there. And will BYOD have instructional impact? And will BYOD affect the culture of your school? Some of these questions I think are paramount and super important. And are there policies in the way that deter us from moving forward? Is school relevant for today's students, or when they go home is there a huge disconnect because we don't have any open access? These are just questions. These are just the things that I'm throwing out there that I was taking. Are we preparing our teachers to teach in a disruptive environment where it's not prescriptive, where every student has a MacBook, or every student has a Chromebook? Are we teaching our teachers to be able to teach in a disruptive environment? And again, just the focus is on student achievement, not just on the technology. So these are my key points I'm going to be bringing back and having some future discussions on. Does anybody have any questions?
Not a question, but a point. I mean, you're wearing a shirt, Google. You want to stand up and turn around just to show off? Not that you don't look but it's from your Baraboo Technology Academy. And I was able to attend a few of those sessions. Matt taught one, but what I was impressed was the depth and breadth of the knowledge that I received from our teaching staff. And again, that's a lot of that's through the work of building that up through our staff, so that we do have those rich experiences given by our teachers, and these teachers are sharing with each other, so that they're all growing. So I mean, I applaud you for that work, and then also the work of the teachers that were working on that.
And we'll provide a little more information to the board on the Tech Academy,
Sure.
Summer School, and some of our other summer activities here at an upcoming meeting.
Absolutely, there are other activities, but I mean, in particular, I just wanted to point that out when we're talking about technology.
As a parenthetic injection, the Department of Education has released a $400 million Race to the Top district-focused grant, an anchor of which is 21st century technology to empower student achievement. I'm very excited about Baraboo District applying for a piece of that $400 million, and an anchor to that will be what you have learned and helped apply here and brought back to us as a part of that grant application.
So you've been recruited for part of the...
Yeah, I forgot to tell you, you were recruited.
You're writing the grant.
There are quite a few people around here who have been recruited that don't know it yet.
Yeah. Peter, you're a big talker.
Thank you. Brings us to the portion of the agenda entitled Personnel Recommendations. And the first up on the agenda is the approval of a withdrawal/voluntary termination of a teaching contract. You received background on that situation in your board packet. I don't know if there's anything else to add to that.
Move to approve.
Remember, I don't know that I did on this one, did I?
Yeah. it was included
Okay,
as a
due
resolution.
to a personal situation, this person is a brand-new hire, has chosen to withdraw her contract. She already submitted her liquidated damages, and so she's just asking to be released from her contract.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. McNevin, seconded by Mr. Mearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Brings us to the approval of resignations. We can take these as a group unless there's anybody that wants to go through them one at a time. We have high school science, Nicole Furman. GLW grade 2, Shannon Pugh. East grade 5, Carissa Pappas. And GLW special education, Robin Erke. You received background information as to what the situations were with each of those resignations.
Move to
Unless
accept.
anybody has, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Nevin, seconded by Cummings to accept the resignations as presented. Any discussion?
I was impressed by the fact that each letter indicated a regret to be leaving the district and an appreciation for all of the professional development and support each of these teachers has received.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried, resignations accepted. Brings us to the approval of new hires. We can take these one at a time. The first is for Samantha Toyak for the school psychologist position. Entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Riley, seconded by Mortimer. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Brings us to the high school alternative education position. Shauna Steffies. Entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bedro, seconded by Riley. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried for the new hire. Brings us to the middle school language arts social studies position. Linda Chappetto. Entertain a motion to that effect.
I so move to accept.
Second.
Motion by Mearing, seconded by Bedro. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Brings us to Gordon L. Wilson, grade 2, Amanda McFarland. Entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bedro, seconded by Riley. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Brings us, motion carried. Brings us to East, grade 5, Nicole Rochelle. Entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion by Bedro, seconded by Mearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We do not have a recommendation, to my knowledge, for the middle school computer science technology position. Is that correct?
We're finishing the references and backgrounds, and we'll have that to you at the next meeting.
Then I'll give you sufficient time before the school year to get her in.
Yeah,
Or
we're
he or
likely
she.
following the reference background checks, have the person participate in some of the beginning of the year activities.
Okay.
So that brings us to the North Freedom BELC 50% position.
Right, and just as a reminder, we transferred the current North Freedom Belk teacher, that which was part-time Laura Alish, to the opening that just occurred at first grade aid. It's a little bit of a chess game right now. And this person we're familiar with one of our daycares, so she'll be there 50% and 50% at North Freedom Belk program.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion by Cummings, seconded by Meering. Any discussion?
Just briefly, earlier tonight, we had somebody that was concerned about our test scores. I think in supporting this would certainly help to positively impact our test scores for reading and for math. So I certainly believe that a good board member would support this to help the academic achievement of all of our students, to give them the good start that they all deserve. So.
I would also include that the most recent data that was provided to this board several months ago indicated significant improvements in all grades in the areas that were indicated by the speaker. And I would ask that Ms. Mueller ensure the fact that there is a response using the most recent data which we have to put this in its proper perspective.
Okay, I'd like to suggest we keep our discussion to the motion that's on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of Emma Steinhorst hire at 50% for North Freedom and the BELC signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
The opposition of Mr. Mortimer and the hire carries. Brings us to new business, trying to be proactive for the 2012-2013 board meetings, in particular in December of this fall and in May of next year. And no, this is not my idea. This is Dr. Ritzenthaler's idea to have a discussion about that.
And I couldn't avoid every Packer game. I tried, Gary.
Yes, you can. You haven't tried hard enough.
What we'd like to do is establish...
We encourage you to do better.
We'd like to establish the dates, and at the next meeting, we'll come back with kind of our outline and overview of the year of the various topics, both related to the budget and instructional improvements in the district. So our community members, if they choose, as well as board members, will kind of have advance notice of the areas that we'll be providing information on. And then also, if we've missed something, it gives you an opportunity to say, hey, I want to learn more about this, or you forgot to include this PowerPoint for this meeting, and we'd be happy to fit that in there for you.
Well, then when you do this, are you just going to put it on the notice of the meeting, or are you going to put it in the paper, what we're going to discuss, or no?
You gotta post the agenda.
Well, we could do it both. We could actually put it on our website too, so people can see those topics in advance to get that information out.
Because I was wondering about how many people have computers. There could be a lot of people that don't have computers that might be interested.
We could certainly provide the information to the paper. I guess it's up to them what they choose
We could also
to do
post
with
it in a central area in our buildings as well, as parents come in.
Well, again, I mean, I think there's a discussion that maybe Ed's bringing up, is that maybe we got to get back to having a newsletter. And I think we have to start looking at different ways of communicating to our public, and not necessarily just always relying on the News Republic to get that word out, or the website. So I believe there are other methods, and so I would certainly applaud Mr. Mortimer's suggestion that maybe we got to find a different way versus just a...
Did you have anything in particular in mind, Ed, as far as how we communicate?
Well, I just thought maybe like a notice in the paper. Do I assume the paper charges us for putting notices in there? Mm-hmm. A newsletter is quite expensive, I think.
We might be able to work with our newspaper, though, and just highlighting some of those general areas that we'll be discussing.
Because I know a lot of times, when the last newsletter went out, a lot of people I talked to didn't get it. So I'm not too sure a newsletter is the answer.
Well, the timing of that newsletter wasn't very good either.
We could put it on our local channel, too, and have that scroll.
Well, maybe we just need to make it a point to utilize all avenues of communication to try to bring to the forefront what those topics are going to be. And it may be a bulletin board, it may be a listing of the topics that you can put up at the laundromat or the supermarket or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of ways, or the senior center. So there's a lot of ways, as long as we stay on top of it, we can certainly try and use
Or a
those.
tavern.
Pardon? Okay, any further discussion about that for the time being?
Are there any discussion on the dates? This year we tried one meeting in May, and it just does not work with hiring and some of the things that we need to take care of that time of the year. So we moved it from the 2nd, and the 4th would be Memorial Day, to the 1st and the 3rd.
Anybody have any concerns with the recommendation? Other than the Packer game?
Oh, it doesn't start till 7:30. That could give us something to work toward.
John, you could do that. Roger, is that fun?
I would imagine that I will be done with that meeting by the time the Packer game starts.
I'll second that.
Whether or not you guys are all still here, it's entirely up to you.
We'll put the
All right.
better agenda items at the end.
Thank you for your attention to that discussion. Brings us to B, under new business, the additional banking services proposal. I will turn to our Director of Business Services, Martha Baldwin, for a further explanation. I believe we had some discussion of that you did at the Finance Committee as of the last Finance Committee.
Yeah,
for
and
the
I
full
think
board.
you got a 2-page handout and
Yes.
included in your packet. So, yes, I've already taken this to the Finance Committee, but I can give a brief overview. The 2 banking services that I would suggest the district adds are the positive pay for checks and ACH transactions, and that basically helps reduce the risk of any fraudulent transactions. Just in today's economy, people are going after the smaller businesses, so we want to take every precaution with our taxpayer dollars to make sure we're reducing the risk as much as possible. The second service is desktop deposit, and this is basically, we get a very small scanner that'll go on a desk, and we can scan the checks right there, and they're deposited right away into our bank account. So that just increases the efficiency of our current operations. The desktop deposit service, Wells Fargo is giving to us completely for free, and that includes a $790 scanner. And the cost for the positive pay service, based on our transactions, they estimate it will be about $55 per month for that service.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Devin, seconded by Cummings, to accept the proposed additional banking services as spelled out for the board. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for bringing those to our attention, Ms. Baldwin. Brings us to C, which is some recommendations that are coming out of the Building, Grounds, and Transportation Committee. So I will turn to Chair of Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation, Mr. Cummings.
Last week, we had our bid openings for the milk and milk products, and also for the trash removal contracts. I do not have the numbers in front of me, but you also, do you have the comparisons to last year with us?
Yes, I do.
Could you give us those?
Sure. So the 2 vendors that bid for the milk and milk products were Morning Glory Dairy, which is distributed from IAM Dairy Distributing, and then Prairie Farms. Morning Glory was the low bid, so that's who the committee decided to go with. Compared to last year, the half-pint chocolate was the same price. The half pint of white was 1 penny more, and the 5-pound of cottage cheese was $1 less.
Just for the sake of numbers, can you give us those
Sure.
3?
So the half pint of chocolate is 0.2190. The half pint of white is 0.2170. And the 5-pound of cottage cheese was $7.20.
And that is our current vendor.
Okay, and so we've got good.
Yeah.
Can we make a kid eat 5 pounds of cottage cheese at a time?
Depending on the day, my son might be able to do that. No, but it's the current vendor. Mary Lovelace is extremely happy with them, especially because they're local, and if we need milk because we're short one day, they can get it to us quickly. So.
They've donated milk to certain family events as well, periodically throughout the year too.
And so it is a recommendation of the Building, Grounds, and Transportation Committee that we accept IAM Dairy Morning Glory contract for the milk.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Cummings, seconded by Mr. Mortimer, for the milk and milk products contract for IM Dairy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Brings us to the ever popular and exciting trash and recyclable removable contract.
For this one here, we only had one bid for this one.
Did you go with the low one then?
We tried to get other bids? Or-
We pretty much stay with the local area around here and with the people in the local area.
Okay, but there was an intent to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And how the comparisons as compared to last year, you have the figures
Yeah.
on it?
So the vendor is Veolia, and they gave us prices for each building for trash and recycling. So if I total everything together, it's a $137. It must be per month higher than it was last year, which is about a just under 7% increase. So this year it's $2,155. Last year it was $2,018.
Okay, well, the recommendation from BG&T is that we accept Veolia's contract offer. I would put that in motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Cummings, seconded by Mr. Meering. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of offering the contract to Veolia for the trash and recyclable removables for the upcoming year, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards 2012 Business Honor Roll nomination. I will turn to our WASB representative, Mr. Meering.
Okay, and I've sent the resolution, but I will read the resolution. I sent that to the board via email, but I will read it off, the one that I'm proposing. The Baraboo Board of Education nominates the Baraboo Economic Development Commission, otherwise known as BETSI, to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards 2012 Business Honor Roll. Through the efforts of BETSI, a new collaborative partnership between our school district and local business community has been forged. BETSI has adopted a philosophy from the city's guiding document called A New View, A New Path, A Way Forward, which states that the economic health of the city and the quality of the schools will become an important part of any public discussion on the healthy development of the local business environment. We look forward to collaborating with BETSI as an integral part of our district strategic plan to work with business partnerships to create meaningful activities that will enrich our students' experiences and add value to our community. And that's the motion that I like to propose and that we would present to WASBA, Wisconsin Association of School Boards.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion been read by Meering, seconded by Vidro. Any discussion?
Again, I think this is just all part of our strategic plan. I did talk to Mayor Palm earlier today. He expressed regrets. He did want to come tonight. He had another meeting, but is really looking forward to our continued partnership with not only the government but also with the local businesses. And I see a lot of benefits going forward. And Dr. Ritzenthaler, can you maybe express some of the stuff that we're working on within our classrooms?
We've had several subgroups get together since we last met as a larger group in reviewing our strategic plan. Number of area superintendents just in this area met with John Alt and Jean Dahlhoff at MATC to talk about ways to get especially our high school kids out into work environments that are focused on IT, manufacturing, and health careers, and how to do that logistically, how to get business sponsors to help provide the transportation and those kinds of things. Then Jack Megan, not to be confused with John Megan, facilitated a meeting at Flambeau with some area businesses, government officials. Jean Dahlhoff was there again, John Alt was there, and we talked about youth apprenticeship and what we currently offer. We had her name escapes me, Shelley from CISA 5, who works with a consortium of school districts with youth apprenticeship, also facilitate that meeting and talk about what we currently do in the trade. So it's all about providing multiple options for kids, for career tracks, for post high school education, and making sure that both they and their parents are aware of what our local communities have to offer. And so those are some of the things that we've been involved in. Jim Reuter's been working on a letter to go out to potential partners in the community to get our elementary version of the program off the ground. We want to make sure that the partners we identify align with curricular areas and areas of study at each of those grade levels. So the elementary portion will look a little bit different than the secondary, and we are planning on having another subgroup committee meeting in early September here to try to solidify some of those things. So it's been very exciting to see the level of interest from our local businesses and our local government leaders to really help support our school system, but more importantly, our kids. So very excited about it.
Any further discussion? Thank you for the update and explanation. Sure. Having a motion by Mr. Meering and seconded by Mr. Vidro for the WASB 2012 Business Honor Roll nomination as read by Mr. Meering. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Doug, for bringing that to our attention. Last, under new business, is the approval of an open enrollment exception application. That's for this coming school year, and that is involving Wisconsin Dells, and it is under acceptable exemptions. So I don't know if there's any further information.
You know, I think you just need to get used to seeing this as a regular agenda item with the way that the legislative changes have come about in the number of exceptions. We're going to see more mobility between districts, and that's just the way it is right now.
Mm-hmm. How late in the game can they do this?
Anytime.
Anytime all year?
Mm-hmm. I actually received 4 more today that I'll be bringing before the board at the next meeting.
Are these going in both directions?
They can be, yes. We have to approve both directions, coming in and going out.
Further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of approving the...
We don't have a motion yet.
We don't? Well,
I will so move.
How about that? There we got half of it.
Second.
Motion by Cummings. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Mary. Motion by Cummings, seconded by Riley. Back to any further discussion?
I can talk about our legislature, but I won't. I'll hold on.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the application is thus approved. Entertain a motion for executive closed session as posted.
I so move.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. 5 minutes to go to close. Thank you.
Thank you, administrators.
Thank you.